Welcome to the Griff from the Vault. I'm your host, Kelsie Johnston, and today I'm joined by Roma, our multimedia editor here at the Griff. And he's here with me today to take a deep dive into this month's magazine. This September, we're talking all about growth. It's no secret that MacEwan is growing, and with a goal of reaching 30,000 students by 2030, we'll go back to the very beginning to see exactly how the school has evolved over the past 50 years. Then we'll get into what those changes will look like, not just for the school, but the greater downtown area, and how projects like the CRL and the off-campus housing pilot project will affect students and their cost of living. Lastly, we'll dive into headlines from Orc City, one of the many incredible visual additions to this month's magazine. Well, thanks so much for joining me today, Jesse.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me. It's going to be a good time. I'm not as versed in the articles as you are, but I'm going to give my opinions, and hopefully they are correct, because that's what we love, our correct opinions.
So to kind of encapsulate this theme of growth, our coordinating editor, Ian Smythe, and our opinion and culture editor, Evan Watt, they took a deep dive into the history of MacEwan and went all the way back to 1971 when it was founded. When MacEwan first started, they started out of elementary schools.
Yeah, no, they started out of rented space in elementary schools in the west end of Edmonton. They didn't even have their own building. They offered only 16 two-year programs, and they were pretty small, I'd say.
And look at where we are now. Today, we're a campus of 18,855 students.
And over 2,500 staff members across faculty, operational staff, everything like that, too.
Right? But I really like the lens that they took this through, because they wanted to see the history of MacEwan, but not only the history of its buildings and its student population, but they looked at it through sports. And they wanted to showcase how you could tell that the school was growing by their evolving sports teams.
Yeah, I believe in their first season, they only had 37 MacEwan athletes. There was only a badminton team, a men's and women's basketball team, and a men's hockey team. They weren't even titled the Griffins yet.
The Griffins didn't come into being until 1975. And I think the first year that they even had sports teams was 1974. So it was just a year later that they became the Griffins.
Yeah, before that, they were just students who played sports for the school. They weren't even recognized in like record books or anything. They had no names associated. They were basically ghosts.
Yeah. So I really liked how in this article they took that. They were like, okay, we started from nothing. We had 37 players. They played in sports. So not only did they show that the school was expanding through the sports teams, but also through the logos as well. Because for those of you who don't know, this year we just unveiled a brand new Griffins logo for our sports teams.
Yeah, as a design student myself and just a much more visual person, their progression of the logos was very interesting and very telling of the times. Like looking, from the first one, the simple blue line art, all the way to the strong emblematic logo we have that was revealed this summer. You can definitely tell that there's growth, well, both in visual design and like the beauty of it, but in the power, the aggression of the logo. If you look back at the logo running from 1988 to 1995, it almost had a cartoony Looney Tunes-esque feel with it, with the kind of softer head of the Griffin.
Yeah, I was gonna point that one out.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It is good. It's so telling for, I think, the 80s and early 90s too.
And then after that, they seem to solidify their kind of, color palette and take on the MacEwan Griffin. In 1995 to 2001, they had this Sphinx-looking kind of style one. And then it kind of altered to this front-facing, paws-up looking one that mostly carried out with a few alterations from 2001 all the way up until the new one we have now in 2025. Yeah, I already said it, but it's interesting to see the progression of it all and how much power the logo shows.
Yeah. Also, you're a design person, so I want to get your opinion, because up until like 2005, aside from like 1995 to 2001, the logos were blue, which is not the color we know today, because right, we're used to the burgundy Griffins logos. Why do you think that change happened?
I don't have a whole lot of knowledge on the color theory and their branding back then, but I think one thing that could be a factor would be their differentiation. Schools like Nate had their iconic blue. They might have just wanted to go with a different color to solidify it. Red can be seen as a bit more aggressive and a bit more, fiery. So that might have been something they wanted to try to portray throughout their growth. I believe it was 2009 when the new McEwen logo itself for the school came in that kind of got rid of that blue aspect and brought in the tower signifier of the logo. So I think their growth within the sports logos kind of follows that, kind of getting rid of the blue. It's interesting to see the red pop in from 1995 to 2001 to see, what they kind of had there and if it was almost kind of like something that was on their mind to switch their brand colors back then.
I like your comment about being more aggressive, because when we did start to enter into our, the Canadian sports leagues like Canadian West and all of that, we came as a force to be reckoned with. There's no question that McEwen has grown so much since when it was founded in 1971, being operated out of elementary schools, to where we are now with our centralized downtown campus that boasts the 18,000 students. The former director of athletics for McEwen, who spoke with us, really wanted to emphasize that McEwen wanted to show that they were a university and not just the community college that they started out as. And they chose athletics as their symbol in order to show that. I think it's really cool to see how much this university is growing, and I'll also be interested to see how it does grow in the future, because like I said, they're planning to be 30,000 students by 2030. That's only 5 years away.
Yeah, that's almost doubling the student population within the next 5 years. I know the School of Business Building is opening in 2027, and they're expecting a 7,000 student increase when that building opens. So that's going to be insane.
Yeah, with the addition of the Valley Line LRT as well, that's going to increase a lot of traffic here as well. So not only do we see McEwen expanding, but also kind of the greater downtown area. Amanda Erickson, our photo editor for the Griff, actually had a really interesting article in our magazine about downtown and the community revitalization levy, which is basically funding that businesses downtown are going to get in order to improve things like housing, roads, and general infrastructure in the downtown area, with the whole idea being that they'll pay back that funding later with the tax money that they receive from that area.
A kind of IOU, if you will.
Basically, yeah, we'll give you the funding up front, and then with the increased revenue and all the tax money that you'll bring in from these improvements, you can pay us back later. This program is very divisive in how it is viewed because of some of the things that are happening. So for instance, the OEG, or the Oilers Entertainment Group, is getting, I think it's around 80 million, but no more than 85.5 million.
Yeah, the CRL's contribution will not exceed $85.5 million, which is still an insane amount of money. That would be contributing to the $250 million event park that is planned to go right beside Rogers Place. They say it won't go more than $85 million, but you can do a lot with $85 million. That's financing almost a third of the project.
And I know when Amanda was writing this article, she did have an interview with Michael Jans, one of our city councilors, and he had some not so nice things to say about this. Apparently, there was a deal that seemed to be struck behind closed doors with the provincial government and the OEG right before bringing this event park proposal to the public and city council. And as Michael Jans had put it, he said that the council was basically put in a no-win situation where the provincial government had basically 5 things for Edmonton. And if they didn't agree to give Daryl Katz 2 of those things, then Edmonton lost the other 3 things.
As said in this quote, quite frankly, it's an incredibly disgusting way to do politics.
Yeah, the idea that these meetings were conducted behind closed doors really raises some questions about how this money is being used. But I mean, not everybody agrees with Michael Jans. Like, some people think that it's a really great thing that we have access to.
City Councilor Ann Stevenson voted in favor of the CRL extension, and she sees the opportunity in the long-term vision of the project, and she hopes it brings like new opportunities to downtown, which, I mean, there are positives and negatives to every side of the story.
Right? I mean, she talks specifically about the warehouse park project, because that's going to be bringing in like close to 1,000 units of housing in the surrounding area. And if there's one thing we know about a bigger campus downtown for students, is that student housing is at the forefront of everybody's mind.
Yeah, people need places to live. I think that's a pretty important one, and not everyone likes to live on campus. You know, there are positives and negatives to living on campus,
right?
But
well, I mean, I don't think MacEwan has the infrastructure to house these students, especially if they're continuing to just grow.
Do you think by 2030 we can fit, say, 10,000 more students in the residence building? Because I don't think we can.
And we only have the one residence building, do we not?
And we don't even have the full residence building. I believe the top floor is a hotel for guests and visitors to stay at.
Oh, actually?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So, yeah, obviously, if MacEwan's going to expand, if downtown's going to expand, we 100% need student housing. Ray Nash Rand, our news editor, he took a look at this new off-campus housing pilot program that's going to be available to MacEwan students. I guess this past June, MacEwan announced this pilot project, which would basically allow for students to get discounted rates on rent at 2 very specific apartment complexes downtown.
Those are the parks located near Jasper Ave, and then the Switch, which is near Rogers Place. So, relatively really close to campus. The Jasper Ave one is a little further away, but I mean, you can only get so close to the downtown core, obviously. Yeah, the university is in partnership with Qualico Properties and MacLab Development Group to, kind of gauge student interest in discounted living spaces near campus, which feels weird to me because who wouldn't be interested in discounted living spaces near campus?
Right? I mean, cost of living is already nuts as it is. And on top of the cost of schools, I mean, you can read about it in the magazine, but textbooks are also an issue. But even still, like, you look at these and, like, for one of them, okay, so the average cost to rent a 1-bedroom here in Edmonton is roughly $1,362 a month.
As of this June, the average cost for a 1-bedroom unit in Edmonton is around $1,300, so $1,334.
Which is still a lot of money, especially when you're talking about students who are going to classes full time and probably only working for $15 an hour for like 10 hours a week. $1,300 is a lot of money.
On top of, textbook costs, tuition costs, any sort of software and materials you need. I guess if you're this close to campus, you don't have to worry about transit or transportation.
Right? I mean, me as a student myself, I'm taking 5 classes, but I'm working 2 part-time jobs and many of other like little side gigs, and I still wouldn't be able to afford the rent on my $1,000 a month apartment. So even $1,300 is a lot of money.
I believe a lot of the apartments have deals too. So if you sign like a 12-month lease, you'll get the first month free. So I guess if you really add it up, it offsets the cost a little bit, or, they will receive free Wi-Fi included in their rent, but they'll still be spending about $15,000 on rent, which is just insane.
Yeah. And that's over the 12 months.
So if you find you can't even afford to live downtown, even with the student discounts, you might as well move all the way to Orc City. Our big visual spread here this month was headlines from Orc City, which I'm just such a huge fan of. It's so just out there and like, what?
Yeah, I know. I'm going to say it. Orc City seems really stupid. And it started off as kind of like an in-office joke. but we ran with it. And while it seems stupid at first, I love what we came up with.
It's beautiful. We have, I mean, the background illustration was done by our graphics editor, Forrester Taves, who absolutely killed it, with a little bit of world building and concept art for what an orc city could look like.
Right? And then we have all of our little orcs, which were designed and illustrated by Hayden Karkner, who is our online editor this year.
And yeah, the team just got together to come up with some headlines from hypothetical orc city. We love a bit of world building. We love in-office jokes. Those who love 9/11 jokes, we have Orc Watchtowers hit by a Borking 7 Orky 7 in New Orc City tragedy. New Orkers close to the incident say they were up to their knuckles in ash. Like, who thinks of these things?
Apparently we do.
I thought of that one. But I just think they're so funny. We have like some parody drawings of Elon Musk as Egon Muskrat. We have J.R.R. Tolkien,
who wins the Orklitzer Prize for Best Orc Novel, Orc of the Things.
Tolkien was quoted as saying, "Fuck yeah, buddy."
One of the things I love about this job is that we report news and we report culture and we do deep dive and we research. So we have things like, how has McEwen grown and how has sports been the symbol for that growth? We're able to look into things like the CRL and how that's going to impact cost of living for students and just their space in general. And we look into how cost of living is affecting our students and especially in the rents that they pay. And we look at discount programs for students, but we also get to come together in a space and just have some fun.
Yeah, that's something I love about this job is everyone puts in the work to do great reporting, great journalism, and that gives us the space and the credit to do something as silly as Orc City,
which I don't see leaving us anytime soon.
We have the opportunity to be silly because we have the opportunity and the skills to put out the good stuff and to put out what's important to the people. And it's just so fun. I can't believe we're saying goodbye to Orc City after this issue. I personally wish it would carry on, but maybe we'd leave that up to contributors to submit some Orc City drawings or illustrations or stories.
I don't see Orc City dying quite just yet. I mean, we have the stickers.
We do have the stickers.
Orc City never dies. Jesse, thank you so much for being here with us today.
No worries. Thanks for having me as the inaugural guest, as the kind of revamped podcast this year.
Again, I want to say thank you to Jesse Roma, and a big thank you to you as well for joining us this week in the Vault. Don't forget to like and subscribe to The Griff on YouTube and Spotify. The magazine is also out on stands now. If you want to know more, maybe pick up a copy on your break in between classes. Got a story you want to share? We want to hear from you. Check out The Griff at thegriff.ca/contribute for more information. Who knows, you could even be the next guest in the Vault. The Griff from the Vault is produced by Kelsie Johnston and Jesse Roma. The show is edited by Kelsie Johnston. Visuals for this podcast were designed by Jesse Roma. Once again, I'm your host, Kelsie Johnston, and this has been The Griff from the Vault. Talk soon.